All right, so yeah, the top 3 things you need to know right now based on August figures. So sales is number 1. This is good. For the second straight month, we've seen sales outperform last year. So August over August and July over July, we actually saw as a whole it go up. So that's good news. Half the months since 2019 now have shown this. Half the month have been edged out by 2018, but half of them have also been beaten by 2019. So guess where we sit as a whole? 23 home difference between this year and last year across 11,568 sales. So it's pretty much a dead heat. Pretty crazy, but that's where we sit. But this isn't equal across all of the different property types. The detached and the apartment market, right now we're seeing as a whole minus 1.5%. Yet the row home market and the semis, they're up in sales as a whole 3.3 or 6.3. So that's quite a difference, right? So detached and apartment operating slightly less, and then the attached product, both of them doing significantly better than last year. Also, it's quite different across the various districts in the city along with price points. So this goes back to, as a whole, the 0 to 400 market, we're up in that high single digits year over year in sales. 4 to 500 about on par, and then that 500 up, we're going as high as you saw, minus 35 to minus 38% in that luxury bracket. So big differences. Cool. The inventory story. Now, I spoke about this earlier in the meeting. We monitor this in 2 ways. The total listings and the total new listings. They tell something differently that you need to be aware of. The one, right, which is new listing, tells us where the market's heading, right? But the other one carries a bit of baggage, right? Total inventory isn't a story that you can figure out within the given month. There's baggage within that piece of information. Make sense? Yeah, it's kind of a metric of the sum of what's happened, not what's happening, right? So right now we're happy to report, I'm happy to report, 7th month in a row that the new listings, which is like the true present day, what's happening, has been much less than 2018. So 7 months in a row, new listings way less than last year. This continues to tell us that unless somebody really needs to sell, they are listening to what the market's telling them, right? Which is don't come to market and maybe wait for a better time. Make sense? So because of the 7 straight months, this has affected that baggage number, right? The total inventory number has continued to decline because the strength of the consistent new home listing adjustments, which shows us despite sales really not picking up as a whole, right? You know, like I said, we were within 23 homes sold. Without it really picking up, that the inventory has been able to decline as a result. So that's why we've been able to stage off further price drops, right? This is going to continue to help us push towards balance, right? They talk about that in the economics report, balance, and balance is a good thing. It's a great thing because then we can advise, and we as consumers or the consumers out there can make their plans a lot easier when there's a balanced market because they're not left wondering, can this actually get done? Or more like this will get done. That's a big difference for optimism and confidence and making the life moves that we get to be a part of, right? So there is a caveat though, right? Balance isn't everywhere, right? The property segments are acting a lot differently. Apartments saw new inventory being higher than last year, but yet the other 3 didn't, right? So again, we talked about a couple markets where the apartments actually saw year-over-year price increase, but we also saw it being the only market where inventories increased. So what's the future trend on that? I don't know, but you need to be aware of it. So that's the inventory story. The last one is prices. So this is one you want to really know when you speak to your clients, right? Because this is what matters to them. But it's, okay, we've got good news, and we've got bad news. Which one do you want first? Okay. It's not really bad news, but it could be better. How about that? Okay. When we looked at detached, apartment, and the attached market benchmark prices we are seeing year over year, August over August, about minus 2.5 to 2.6. Okay, that's the bad news. So in essence, that's what over the entire last calendar year we've seen property values drop by, right? Year over year. Do you think that's the good or the bad? I started it, you told me, but do you think that's the good or the bad? Well, that's actually the good. It's good news because for most of the year, we've seen minus 3 to 5%. So most of the months when I've reported this, Julys and Junes and Mays, we're seeing more like 3.5 to 5% off. Now, the good news is that's only 2.5 to 2.6, but that's a big adjustment, right? I believe it's because that reduced new listings that have been coming for the last 7 months. It's really helped us slow down that decline, like I talked about from the previous months. The bad news though, which I said isn't that bad, it could be better, is that the bad news is that we're still on a decline. Until proven differently, it's a less of a decline, but it's still a declining market, which means equity positions are sliding just a little bit. But all things considered, right? Sales, inventory, prices, and we're 2/3 of the way through the year. We're positioned a heck of a lot better than we were at this time last year, and much better than I expected when we started 2019. So as you enter the fall market and you advise your clients, and as you're a consumer out there thinking about what to do, we are in a better position than we were. So those are the big things to think about as you're out there advising your clients. Any questions on that?